Not sure if this is too early to ask. How are we
Hmm.
going to work on our production écrite?
First of all, in season 3, we start the Édito book.
Hmm.
So Édito A1 we start. It becomes an official assignment. If you see the season plan, we are going to spend 2 sessions on guiding you about how to make most of this book, how to effectively use it. Like advantage of studying Édito is you start doing everything. You start doing listening, you start doing some writing, speaking. If you have a study partner, you would be doing speaking also while studying Edito, because there are some activities for 2 people, right? So all the things start happening. Only thing is that they start happening at A1 level, which is not a bad idea, because a lot of people struggle with listening right at this moment, because we are almost 30% into our program. Listening, to be honest, happens at the end for me. That's my personal experience. You may not agree with me. My point was I used to always do listening at the last thing, because what I believe is listening is amalgamation of your speaking skills, your reading skills, and your writing skills. So everything that you do in reading, writing, and speaking, all the vocabulary that you use, that you read, that you speak, all helps you in understanding. Getting my point, Josna? So listening is not like separate. So you cannot say, I don't speak French, but I listen to French very well. That's very rare. Are you getting me, Jyotsna? Like
Yes, yes.
you don't speak French, but you listen very well. You understand everything. I think that's impossible almost. Similarly, the more you read, the more vocabulary you have. The more you write, the more vocabulary you have. And all of that creates a mapping in your brain. All of these things, all the things that you do here, creates a mapping of words and meanings in your brain, and that mapping helps you to comprehend the audios. So that is the reason why I used to put listening right at the end, when I'm done with all the grammar, when I have a fairly good amount of confidence in my speaking, when I'm doing a lot of passages, a lot of reading, a lot of writing, so I have good amount of vocabulary. Otherwise what happens is, even in a sentence, although you are not supposed to understand entire sentence while listening, let's say you are listening to an audio, you're not supposed to just understand everything like English. You will pick up some words good enough for you to understand the meaning of the sentence, or large enough meaning of the sentence. Getting my point?
Yes, yes.
But if you, let's say in that sentence, if you miss out on that stress word, the word which decided the major meaning of the, like verb for example, major meaning of the sentence, if you don't know that verb because you never spoke it, never read it, never wrote it, then you will not be able to even get to the meaning of the sentence without. Are you getting my point?
Yes, yes.
So that is why I would not be too alarmed. And this is not, I'm not speaking for you, I'm speaking for everyone. If you don't listen, you're not good at listening at this point of time. Because I believe that should be the last worry. Your first worry should be reading, writing, speaking gradually, and then listening. Good thing about Edito A1 is you start listening, but you start listening in a context. That means they give you chapter. So let's say chapter 1 is about, typically it's about introduction, Jamapel, Kaustup, Tyutapel, Como, and stuff like that, right? Or Jasvi, Andiya, and stuff like that. So the audio will be on that context only. So you know what to expect in the audios. So they are not going to be bringing any surprises, the audio clips that you're supposed to listen and solve the exercises. So you might say, okay, that's easy. Good news about that kind of listening and starting the listening like that is it builds your confidence. This is a key. So it builds your confidence. Oh, okay, I'm able to listen, I'm able to understand, I'm able to answer. Good. So you move on like that. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Then you go to Edito A2. Same thing happens. Like, I mean, the chapters might change, but it's contextual. This listening is contextual. They're not going to come with random conversation about random topics. Getting my point, Josna?
Yes, I do. And also, listening is a receptive skill. It has to be only acquired. It cannot be
Yeah.
taught, actually.
No, that is true. But what I'm saying is that you go like this, so it builds your confidence. We don't go to the final like stage directly, right? Learning tennis, you start from holding the racket, then you start from swing, then forehand, and then eventually you go to service. So like it's like that. So you build your confidence. You build. You do Edito A1, Edito A2, Edito B1, and then You will realize if you do all of this, of course, you have good understanding of listening, and then you move on to the exam specific listening skills or exercises.
Yes.
But sometimes people come and say, hey, I was listening to this podcast and I can't understand anything. Sure, you can't, because there are some tenses, there are some constructs which you are not learned, you're not spoken, you're not read, you're not written. How do you expect your brain to recognize them and understand the sentences? That's where language intelligence comes into play. How you going to approach things, where you're going to target what.
So my approach was, but again, as I said, I had a Spanish extreme good control over Spanish, so I had that going for me, and I had given a lot of language exams. But if I had this in mind, what I decided what, and that was again something I decided from experience of Spanish, I will first take care of all the grammar. Okay, I'll first take care of all the major grammar topics because I want to know which ones are important and which things I can use and subjunctive and everything else. I didn't care about speaking, I didn't care about writing, I didn't care about anything first. So that's where I, first 3 4 months, day in, day out, I studied all the grammar. I forgot it, obviously, like you guys. I went back, I revised, I went back, I revised. But I understood and I knew all the grammar topics in the first 3 4 months. When I was doing this, if I don't understand a certain word, I'll just look at the translation and not bother about writing it down or something. Because for me, for example, if here, let's say, juice the konje, this is the word which I didn't know, for example. Okay. I look at the translation, a day off, cool. I don't note it down, nothing. I just want to focus on woo here because that's the topic. So I didn't care about that just yet. Okay. My focus was on grammar. Do I understand logically what the grammar topic is? And that's about it. Then I slowly went to Édito once I finished all the grammar. Then I slowly went to speaking, focused on speaking. And last thing I did was, the very last thing I did was listening. Because basically what happens is listening is you utilize everything that you have spoken, everything that you have read, everything that you have written. All the practice you have done in this three comes handy in this. So that's how my approach was. I couldn't do everything at the same time, Alok, for the same reason as you. It's just too overwhelming to do everything at the same time. Getting my point? And then what happens is one failure can affect other. For example, if you try to speak in the first month and you can't speak, maybe you feel that you're not good enough and you just stop. Are you getting my point? I mean, people start French and within the 2 months they ask me, I'm not able to speak. How will you be able to speak? Who has spoken a language in 2 months? It's not possible. Yeah, you can speak a sentence or two, but you can't speak for 2 minutes or 1 minute in 2 months. It just doesn't happen unless you are, like Einstein's distant relative. Why this is important? Because once this is done, you have fair idea of the structure and the tenses and the everything that language has to offer. You feel a little bit confident that you have got something going. When you are doing grammar, you are not just doing grammar. Of course, there's some vocabulary that you are adding. You cannot just say tupal. There will be words. So you are already learning some words subconsciously. Getting my point? You are not studying grammar as in just grammar. You're always studying something with it. Are you getting, guys, my point? You cannot just study grammar like just grammar without any vocab. That doesn't happen. Just this block. So many words. Journaliste, l'agent, client, la situation, confirmation, jour de congé, fleur. Of course, that every block you are learning 5 6 new words. This helped me to focus and get things done quickly. And then I can move on to the next part. And this way is also good for confidence. Sometimes people try to do like, oh, sir, I listened to this movie. I did not understand anything. Of course, you did not understand anything. How much time you have spent in language? You didn't. So don't let that affect your confidence.